Welcome back. All right, I just had to wear Kings for this. You can kind of see the Doctor Who shirt that I'm wearing underneath. So, anyways, yeah. So news of the day, and I want to throw out there that when there's as many games on at the exact same time as last night, there were 7 games that started at the same time. I don't stress on what I may or may not be missing. So Anders Lee gets hurt. I didn't see it, so I didn't mention it in the review. And again, I always consider my reviews to be something that's kind of thrown in on top of people watching highlight reel, people having already watched the games, just looking for, you know, different information from games, that kind of thing. But I don't stress myself out with getting every single detail and stuff because I'm one person. So I don't have like a research crew. I don't have editors. I've had people volunteer, but that just makes everything more stressful. So I used to stress over trying to catch absolutely everything that would happen during every game. And injuries are one of those things that I'll pick up after I've already done the review because I do the review as soon as the games are done. Like last night, for instance, you have 10 games, so the review is going to take 44 minutes to do. It's going to take a while to upload and process. So I'm already well over an hour after the games have ended. I'm already about 4 hours after the early games have ended in most cases. So I don't want to delay doing the review later. I've had people say, "We'll do the review in the morning." No, the review the next morning would not get anywhere near the level of attention. It would just stress me out all night. I'd end up being up. So I do the review. That's done. And then today we get to talk about Anders Lee being out indefinitely for the Islanders after the collision with Zaka. And they're labeling it a lower body injury. Keep in mind, he had 12 goals, 7 assists. He is their captain. He is their leader on the ice. And the team has also won 7 in a row. The good news for the Islanders, though, is this. There's always somebody stepping up. I would not be surprised now if, while he's out, Kiefer Bellows jumps up. I wouldn't be surprised if Michael Del Cole jumps into a spot of prominence and all of a sudden he turns it around. Barry Trotz finds a way to get the most out of the Islanders possible. So, as stressful as it's going to be for fans and likely for some of his teammates not to have him out there, the Islanders are pretty well insulated against injuries. This has been shown over the last couple of years with Barry Trotz in charge that he absolutely is able to figure things out. So they'll miss Lee. Hopefully it's not as long as it sounds like it's going to be that he's out. It sounds like it could be until playoffs probably, but we'll see, right? Marc-Andre Fleury. So yesterday, if you're a Vegas fan, you may have said, hey, the list says what? So on the protocol list right now is Marc-Andre Fleury, and there's no guarantee he's not going to be on the list tonight. So odds are he probably misses tonight's game, and he may be out for a little while. But the good news along with that is that Robin Lehner's on his way back. So this might be one of those situations where Fleury goes out, Lehner comes in, and things will be okay between now and whenever Fleury's able to return, whether it's 7 to 10 days, whether it's sooner than that, we'll see. But usually you don't see a guy go on the list and then come off the next day. So we'll see. Maybe he does. Maybe he does. But we'll see what happens with Vegas and how that goes for them. Again, Vegas in their first year, they went through losing Fleury and all of their goaltenders, and they were still okay. They still managed to keep themselves above water. So they've done this before. The NHL's planning, and this was in yesterday's discussions, and I'll throw this into this News of the Day video here. They are planning a full season next year that will start on time. And when they say on time, that means to me early October. So the Stanley Cup gets awarded in July. We go back to work for hockey for early October. I am not expecting a long off season. And I said that during the pause, during all of this, I said, it's probably going to get really, really busy, and it's probably going to stay busy for me for about a year and a half. And I would think it's going to be tough on some players, and we'll see how things go. But the plan is to have mostly normal expected for 2021, 2022. They expect that in most places they'll have most or full capacity arenas. Again, I'm on the wait list for the Canucks. We'll see what happens. But I'm optimistic I'll be going to games again for next season as well. Last night, John Carlson reached 500 points for the Washington Capitals. That is fantastic for a defenseman. We are no longer in an age where defensemen they can get to 1,000. Those days seem to be pretty much done. But 500 points is pretty substantial, and yeah, so good on John Carlson for getting to 500 points for the Capitals. Jonathan Quick. So the reason for the Kings jersey, Quick did not make the trip to Colorado. So is Grosnick going to be in for more heroics? I don't see why not. Do you give Villalta a start at some point if Peterson's still on the list, right? So for LA, things are going to get really, really interesting because, of course, they're not that far out of the playoffs. They're really not. And if they can get some wins strung together, I don't think they care who's in net. I don't think they care if Rogie Vachon comes out wearing this jersey and says, I'll play. I don't think if he can do it, go for it. Cool. Sounds good. Patrick Laine. So this last night to me encapsulates Patrick Laine's career. I really think last night was a microcosm of how his entire career has gone. He starts off. So first off, he's saying that before he got benched for the last 6:34 of the game and overtime last night, he thought he was playing well. Good. But the tracking showed that he had the puck in the offensive zone for 11 seconds in the first period. He then scores a goal in the second period. But then he was on the ice for 2 goals against by Florida, putting him at a -2 because the goal he scored was on the power play. So he's a -2 on the night. So looking at that, Tortorella decided, you know what? No, he may have seen that Laine might have been out of position on both goals and said, we got to turn this around. And of course they lose it in overtime 5-4. But to me, it's a microcosm of how his career's worked. Where cold in the first, power play goal, things look good for him in the second. He had a couple of good shifts. And then he's a -2 after that, and he gets benched. So it's a little bit of everything with Laine. This is how it works. And I said last night when I saw that he'd been benched in the third, I said, media's going to be talking about it tomorrow. Here we are. The media was talking about it today, and it's on the board because it's being talked about. Where people are asking, why did you get benched? How do you feel about getting benched? Players get benched all the time. You watch any game, you will see, and you'll hear announcers say, "I haven't seen so and so on the ice in this period. Is he okay? Yeah, he looks fine." But certain players, when it happens to them, it becomes a big deal. So I just find that interesting because, yeah, in almost every game, you'll see players that sometimes they get stapled to the bench. And it might be because maybe they don't play special teams and there's a lot of power plays and penalty kills in that period. And sometimes it's just the coach doesn't think they're playing very well. I don't think it's that big a deal. But when you've got Tortorella and you've got Laine, it'll be on the board every time. That's my guess. You know what? There was something too that I was listening to announcers talk about yesterday, and I thought, that's too bad. So this was going to be the final season for Arizona in the Pacific, and it's gone. It's gone. They're in a division that I think suits them just fine. But next year they'll be in the Central. So they go from one division to another, and then they'll go to another because, of course, Seattle's joining the Pacific next year. So, and on some level, I feel like that's a shame because I liked the Pacific. I thought, one more year of the Pacific and all that. But yep, due to situations out of the control of the Arizona Coyotes, they lose out on their last year in the Pacific Division, and they move to a Central. And I think we can agree that division is it's not easy. So yeah, we'll see how things turn out this coming season, right? And yeah, Seattle comes in. They'll be picking up players. I would think soon they can start actually picking up players because once they've made their final payment, like expansion payment, they're allowed to start picking up players and start figuring things out for next year. Obviously, they're not playing now. They can't just go, hey, so we got players and we got jerseys. Can we just jump into the schedule just wherever we'd like? Or no, that's not how that works. But they can bring in guys for next year and start figuring things out for next season. And yeah, and on a closing note, happy quarantine anniversary. So it was a year ago today that the NHL officially said, so we're shut down. And it was a year ago last night that I did the last review, and I kind of did it on autopilot because I knew I'm reviewing the last games we're going to see. That's it. The NBA had shut down. We knew the NHL was going to shut down, and we just didn't know what was going to happen from there. And it was just terrifying to me because, of course, this is my job. This is my income. And for me, I was thinking, I don't know when hockey's coming back. I don't know what it's going to look like when it comes back. Like, I didn't know whether or not it might be years and we might lose teams and what was going to happen. I didn't know how any of this was going to work. And thankfully, it was gone for 5 months. And I learned during those 5 months that if there wasn't hockey on TV, there would always be something hockey related to talk about. There would always be videos I could do. Sure, they're going to garner a lot less attention. They're going to garner a lot less revenue. It's going to be tighter than normal for me. But it showed that, I could get through that. So it was ultimately, as trying as it's been over the last 365 days, I've been happy that it's shown me a lot about myself, about the channel, and about the fact that no matter what happens, this still works. So I'm less worried if someday, years down the road, they have some kind of a shutdown due to the collective bargaining agreement not working or whatever it is. And so here you go. 1 year ago today, the NHL said, we're done. And we knew it was coming. Because again, March 11th, as those games ended, we were like, so we're not going to be playing for a while. And of course, it all kind of went from there. And that was within 2 days of me being at an NHL game. Like on the 10th, I'm watching the Canucks and the Islanders in a thrilling game. And on the 12th, I'm telling you, by the way, there's no more hockey. And we're going on pause, which we didn't know how the pause was going to work, how long it was going to go for. There was certainly a lot of conversation at the time, like, well, that's optimistic. We're not going to see hockey again. And here we are. We've got the league playing, and while there's still players being added to the protocol list, and there's still some things that may make it look like the season may not end up being played at times. Right now, we're not in any kind of situation like that. But, the reason that I'm optimistic is because we're back at all. Like, the fact that we're back at all, I think is fantastic, and I think it says a lot about the NHL, the NHLPA, their ability to work together, and that's huge. So there are a lot of good things that come out of the last 12 months where we have seen finally that the union and the league can work together, and we don't have to have a huge fight. We had kind of a fight, but it was more of a, the slap fight that brothers have, more than anything else. And so I'm pretty optimistic. We finish out the Stanley Cup. We have the season next year on time. And worst behind us. So thank you guys so much for sticking with me throughout. And for new subscribers, welcome as always. And I do apologize, but again, it's one guy, one person. It's always been one guy, one person, one take for all my videos. I only pause if I have to sneeze because of allergies, if the cats are fighting, or if I'm really thirsty and I realize I need to drink a soda or something along those lines. The kind of stuff I might have used to do in a video that I don't do anymore. Because people get really judgy. So anyways, there you go. Thank you guys. Thank you guys again. Because without you watching these videos, I'm not here. I'm not doing this. I don't have this. So thank you guys so much for all of that. And I will talk to you guys again soon. And if you haven't hit the like and subscribe, hitting like it makes you feel better if you hit the like button. It just works. Trust me, it does. And happy dude, just send $1. No, don't. Anyways, thank you guys again. I will talk to you guys likely very soon.